Mm.
Hi there. There he
Hey,
is.
Keith, can you hear me all right?
Perfectly. Yeah,
Okay,
it's really
that's
good.
great. So my voice might sound a little bit strange today. I think I'm still recovering from a cold, but I hope everything's
Mhm.
clear.
Well, be careful. You've got something to sip. If you've got some drink or something to sip.
No, I just the throat feels different.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. Well, thanks for that's good. So thank you very much for the thing. So I was sorry didn't see you in Singapore. That was a
um,
shame. It was.
I wanted to be there, but yeah, there's nothing I can do on my end right now. Just need to wait for my green
Yeah,
card.
I understand. No, no, I'm just saying it would have been lovely to see you. I'm sorry you couldn't come. That's thing. It was a lovely time, and it would have been nice for you. Do
Yeah.
you have a schedule yet on your green card? Do you know
Oh,
how?
so
Yeah.
right now I just need to wait because there are two steps. The first step, they will check the qualification, and that has already been cleared over 100 days ago. So now I just need to wait for my priority date to be current to file because there's so many applicants from China and India in front of me. So I just need to wait for that. Right now I really don't know because, but this I also have some backup plans if I couldn't do that on time. Yeah, hopefully I don't need to use the backup plans.
Well, is there any idea of the schedule at all of it, or is it just? I mean, I don't know anything about it. I mean, I remember having to wait to get my green card. Meant a long time ago, So I remember being in the situation you were in, not being able to travel and things like that. I do remember that.
Yeah. So right now
Yeah,
the thing is the immigration system is not predictable.
yeah.
And based on the priority date, I need to, so the already processed cases till I think February last year. So if nothing goes wrong after maybe after a year, I can file mine. But everything's not moving linearly, and over the past 6 months, it doesn't move at all. But from what I know, in October when they open a new quota for the new year, it could be possible that I can just file this October, but nothing is for sure right now. Just need to wait.
Oh, you poor thing. Wow, that's horrible.
Yeah. So in the meanwhile, I couldn't make any travels out of the states because I already
Yeah,
showed my intent to immigrate. So, but
yeah,
anyway,
yeah. No, I understand. Yeah. I,
um,
I remember that. I do remember that
yeah.
completely. So,
Yeah, but thanks for asking that. I will be in Chicago this November.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
so I
yeah. That's
definitely will see you then. And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
also, I think today is the first time I see you virtually after I get married. So I got married
Wow,
in April.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thanks. Um,
Wow, that's great.
yeah,
So,
so mhm.
well, thanks also for the thing. So I looked at the stuff. First of all, let me say that I think what happened after our previous discussion
Mhm.
is that this is my understanding. I just want to tell you what I think happened, so you know
Sure.
exactly what you know. Just so I think both Matt particularly and I talked about it, and I said to what I'd felt is that you wanted to go in a direction which I think you'd thought about for a long time, was thinking about very seriously, and basically, but I didn't know whether it was possible
Hmm.
because I didn't know whether that would be what Schmidt would allow and da da da. And also, so I was handing it back to him in a sense.
I
I
see.
think what he did was then check with with Megan and others, and they've now found it pretty tricky, basically in terms of the funding of the foundation to do that. Now,
Hmm.
in one sense, that's a shame. I'm sorry it didn't work out that way, but I don't think that let me say they have they have great sympathy for you, and it's not that they don't think that what you're doing is good, right? It's actually there's a lot of enthusiasm and sympathy for what you wanted to do. That's what I wanted to say. It's not like we feel, oh, that's no good. We've seen you do wonderful things, right? It's not, and there's a lot of, but it's going to be tricky. So what's happened now, as I understand it as well, is the possibility to sort of slightly go. back into the aspects you originally proposed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with that, I think that's fine. I think what I would check, what I do is recheck essentially, and you're doing it. So you're going to see Hatton. You're going to recheck where you are, as it were. Is that right? And where the project stands is. I'm going quickly, but I'm just saying what I understand is that looks to be very difficult from the point of view of the Schmidt policy. So you're thinking, okay, what could be my position that's consistent with doing the science, but actually, and then of course you would carry on doing some of the stuff, right? I mean, I'm going to stop doing the other things, but you'd rebase yourself. And I suppose the question that I'd ask is, do what you're doing, which is then check your bases, right?
So
check with Hatton and check with Ted. And say, be open with them and say, this is the issue, guys. What do you reckon, right? And that's what you're going to do, I presume, is it?
So I think generally is right. So I first of all really appreciate you bring this to them to have the discussion, and I totally understand if the proposed pivot is not something the foundation is able to support. That's totally fine. I can go back to the science, but right now it's just a decision of where I'm going to spend my time for the next year of my placement with the regional science aspect into the proposal. And I definitely want to speak to Alan about this, but so from at least from what I have observed over the past year, I want to uh, spend my next year in Ted's group.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to quickly mention as you know, Suhas and I are working on the photovoltaic for dual air capture paper for a while. So we sent a paper in May to both Ted and and Alan doesn't respond. Ted responded, and so me, Suhas, and Ted had a meeting. After that, Ted proposed the next steps, but because I'm mainly still a student of Alan, he wanted me to check some details. So I sent emails, copy everyone. Again, no response at all. So I feel just so frustrated without getting. So even I already copied the other PI saying this is what Ted suggested, what we need to do, but we want to check with you, and this was something. I just keep getting this kind of non-feedback, and so the reason I can get a meeting with him on the 28th is because I say I want to discuss my placement plan for next year, and we already said there's a possibility I will transition to test group for the next year, and just want to discuss with you. So he responded. Again, I just feel I definitely agree. If Schmidt is not able to just fund my third research objective, is it totally fine for me to just do that as the third objective, but also try to push forward the other two, which are the scientific elements that.
And I think I think as I understand, I haven't talked to Matt directly about it, but I can. But basically, I think I got the same letter you did. I got the same thing. I mean, they're not holding back for me, things like that, but I'm trying to be a little bit separate, because
Sure.
I'm advising you, as and what I'm saying, I think what they want is basically, is it feasible? That's all. I mean, if you've gone back to Hatton and said, look, this is what I think could happen, and got Ted, you have a realistic plan for what you can do, bingo. I think that's fine. I think the concern, at least they were expressing in the letter, was, well, maybe things have unraveled to the stage you can't get back to those things. Now, if we are saying is, no, I understand how to do this, I understand how to reboot those things, as 2/3 of my stuff, I'll get back to the science and rethink. That's fine, but just nail it down. That's what I'm saying. Nail it down with Alan and Ted. And therefore, so when I think they just want a bit of extra reassurance from someone like Ted saying, no, I want Elvis to do this. He's got good ideas. It doesn't have to be very heavy. That's what I'm saying, right? But it's just checking in and you know,
Hmm. I
and I think that's what they want is a bit of reassurance, because what they don't want to think is, well, actually, they we don't feel, if we had if we just had completely open hand, we say, oh, just carry on, do what it is. But we can't. We've got a foundation. You've got to think of the things properly.
Mhm.
But I say it's not because we don't think you're a really good person and doing really good stuff, and have seen you do great things. That's what I've said all the time. That's my been a message. But what you came to is an idea. You thought I could do a maximum amount of useful things by going in that direction, right? And I said that could be true. I can't judge perfectly, but Elvis is a smart guy. He's decided that's the way to go. It doesn't seem unreasonable to me. If he, so let's see if we can do it. We can't. Okay, now we have to say, well, we just better check really that Elvis is okay going back. We're not sort of forcing you, or you know what I mean, or brutalizing you going back into these things. We want to check you're okay about it. Does that make sense, Albus?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just I already I understand they are trying to intervene to initiate discussion with Alan to help. I just don't. I'm
May
not.
not work,
I don't. What? Huh?
but it may not work. That's what you're saying with Alan. It may be
Yeah.
difficult.
So
Okay, all right. Okay, but then you go to Ted.
this is my plan actually. So
Okay. Okay.
I just feel like uh, because from the previous interactions, Alan was on a sabbatical, so he's not responsive. That's understandable. But afterward, after I sent emails to request meetings, and even rang them in person, saying can we meet the next day, and still getting no responses. I just feel like even if right now the discussion say okay I'm gonna support Elvis more in future, I just based on my reservation because I don't only have one year left, I couldn't just take more risks and
And okay. Well, I
yeah.
mean that's perfectly. I mean, I understand that, right? So what you're saying is, let me just read back. Okay, we first of all, your experience in the past has been unresponsiveness from both. You know, with Ted Sargent, it was explainable in a sense. There are reasons for it, a sabbatical, things like that. You decided now with Hatton to go there, basically say goodbye in the nicest way, or I want to move on and work with Ted, and not but you still want to be nice, right? You still want a
Yeah.
good relationship. You just want to say, hey guys, I think this is probably the right way to go, isn't it? Do help me. That makes sense. I think what I would do though is actually keep a record of those interactions now.
Hmm. Yeah,
you know,
and also Ted was
keep
not
a
on
note of it.
sabbatical. I just want to clarify.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Ted was not on sabbatical. It's just the previous year of my interaction with Alan. Alan was on sabbatical
Oh,
before I
sorry.
joined
Okay.
Lamp.
Right.
So, but
Yeah.
Ted was always responsive. That's what I want to
Got it.
clarify.
Got it.
So
Thank you.
even if I'm not his primary
Got,
student, after
got
some
it.
email, he would just test the secretary to schedule a time for us to speak. Within the next 10 business days, which I feel is pretty responsible from Ted's end. So he's always the person to respond, even though I'm
Got
not
it.
his. I'm just a code-wise student. So I just want to
Got,
make sure that is clear. And also the reason I stayed so before the Schmidt placement, I was already in Alan's group for a while, but he was on sabbatical. He's not responsive, which at that time I feel okay, it's perfectly reasonable. He was on sabbatical, and but afterward, I just feel like he's already back, but I don't get the kind of a support I wanted to get.
yeah.
And
Okay. Understood.
yeah, and Ted connected me to two of his postdocs. One is helping with ML if you have a data set. But apparently we don't have that, but we also talk about a perspective article I can write with Ted's postdoc for ML for electrochemical carbon capture utilization. And also Suhas has been working with me on the other project, also perspective, for a while. So I wouldn't say anything that Ted was doing wrong from his end. Yeah, just want to set the
But he's
record.
actually been supportive, not just about the project, but going back to using machine learning for optimizing some of the things you do. That's great. Wow.
So yeah, and I also feel like I definitely will keep going for my third research objective. I already show. So for that, I already have accepted article with Cell Press, which is going to come out in August. I also have another article with Ming Yi, relevant to that objective on justice, accountability, and equity in carbon dioxide removal. And that proposal has already been accepted by the proceedings of National Academies of Science, PNAS, and right now waiting for the full submission. So definitely I see that project, that sub project is going well, and I can expect more to come out the next year. So right now I just need to focus more on the other two, um, and getting support more from Ted's group. And I think at this point, joining his group in Northwestern sounds like a more reasonable approach than staying in Alan's group and getting feedback over Zoom. So this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's right.
But definitely I agree with you. I will leave in good terms. I wouldn't just burn a bridge. I will still talk to Alan and say if he's willing to be the co-advisor, just switch the order, and Ted gonna be the main advisor for next year. I'm totally fine with that, but I also need probably his commitment whenever me and Ted send a paper revision for his feedback. He will try his best to respond, because otherwise, what's the point of a co-advisor if you don't respond to paper revision ideas, or just keep pushing forward? But I'm totally open to that option of still keeping him on the co-advisor. It's just switched order of these two. So that's what I'm thinking. So on a worst scenario, if he doesn't agree, I will just move to Ted group 100%. So that's also the proposal originally approved. Right now, just refocus on some sub projects. So this is what is on my mind.
Well, that sounds really good.
But do you have any comments?
Well, it does. Okay, so what I think, it does sound tricky in the sense of the interaction with Hatton. I mean, but I think that is tricky. I don't think there's anything you can do but actually be honest with him about those things. Have you checked with? Does Ted know that you're going to do this?
Oh no! So I have to be. So Hatton really cares about this, about who I speak to first. Since
Right.
I'm speaking to him on the 28th, I will tell him I haven't spoke to Ted, and I just want to get your insight, and then I can move next. Because he's really old fashioned. He cares about who I speak first. So I definitely, so at this point I haven't spoken a word to Ted.
Okay. Okay.
But I guess on the 28th, which is just 10 days from now, I can do
Yeah,
that.
that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Oh yeah, I just feel.
I'm sorry I've had these things. So I wish it was easier, but that's the thing. So well done. Okay. Well done for accepting the difficult things here. That's not an easy thing to do, right?
Kids, I really appreciate all your support, and I understand. Definitely recall from our previous one-on-one, present that opportunity, and then we say, okay, it could be the way to go. But I definitely understand. The foundation has its own rules. If this is something they couldn't support, I'm totally fine to play by the rule. But definitely, I wouldn't abandon that at all. I wouldn't. I would keep that as part of my scientific identity.
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. That's correct. That's good. That's wonderful. There's no problem with that. It's just that let's get yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what you should do is okay. It's the 28th. It's still a while, isn't it? I'll check in with I will talk. I'll see Matt and Meg and everyone next week anyway. But I'll say you fully accept the thing and you're focusing on science. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's also the message I want to communicate to Megan and Matt and Ariel, because I there are rules there and we have to play by the rule, which I totally understand. And just right now I need to find the best pass way to support my original proposal. And I already discovered my current environment might not be the best way to support
Right.
that.
It's understood. That's right.
Yeah, and also I shared with the. I also feel like you know what the article I just shared with you, which is gonna be
Very beautiful.
online on science. I just feel like the environmental justice and equity for carbon capture, carbon utilization for the science I do is something that's really needed more people to talk about and to work on. I definitely will keep that as part of my scientific identity, even though I moved to test group. And and yeah, so this is just my plan and my thoughts about how we can best achieve all the goals for Schmidt. Oh, and also, by the way, did I mention to you I also got the Activate Fellowship without getting paid, but keeping the title for the small venture I co-founded with my co-founder. So that one is a scientific entrepreneurship fellowship. I wouldn't be getting paid. I will just get their training on how we really push something from laboratory to the real world. And also, Eric Schmidt happens to be one of the supporters for Activate Fellowship as well.
Yeah. Have you told Matt about that? Have you told them
I,
about
I
that?
told Megan. I told Megan. So I
Excellent.
suppose so
Good.
I told
That's great.
Megan a few months ago before I accepted that, and
Okay.
if and Megan says as long as you don't receive payment from that, that should be fine. So I think so right now I just don't get any payment from them, just getting the training. But I think that's also something I'm pretty interested in along the way. How to we really commercialize the technology? What are the mindset we really need to change from scientist to entrepreneur? There's a lot of things are different.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
okay. That's wonderful. What I would suggest you do is, as it chugs along. I mean, what's the date now? 70. I mean, we should just keep in touch, right? I mean, is it next week? You see, I'm trying to work out. Is it next week?
yeah. So this is Monday. So next Wednesday, I am
Okay.
supposed to speak
Okay.
to Alan, and after
Okay.
that, I will keep everyone from Schmidt posted
If you
about.
want to, so if you want to talk then later that week, on the Friday or whatever,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That helps.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I definitely plan to reach out to you after that. So I also wanted to ask, do you have any? I'm trying to look at the notes from our Arizona meeting. How to manage the challenging conversations. Trying to use that to focus on facts and also what I want to accomplish from the conversation. But I also wanted to ask you, do you have any recommendations on how I can approach the discussion with Alan? Because it's apparently my
Well,
advisor.
first of all, you should write a script for yourself.
Oh.
Okay. So you must actually write. So what I first of all is say, where do you want to get to, right? And the first thing you have to start with is to re-emphasize. You start with the idea of respect. This is obvious, right? But I'm just saying, to see it as respect, and you say, first of all, thank you,
Mm,
for taking me in. Thank you for the things that I've learned,
mhm,
and I realize, you take things very seriously, and it's been very important you do that. You then say, I've had a great time, but as you know, part of the work I'm doing has evolved,
mhm.
and my perceptions have evolved, and I've tried to keep you up to date to that. But if I haven't kept you fully in touch with where I was going, sorry about that. But
Mm,
so I've been thinking about how this next phase. As you know, the idea of my fellowship is to link, capture with exploitation. That's and of course you are wonderful. You're the expert, roughly speaking, in the capture bit, and then I'm thinking of it. The way I've moved, I think it would be better if I take what I've learned here with you and I move to work with Ted Sargent. The reason for it is that I haven't talked to him about this yet. Let me clear. I haven't discussed it with him because I wanted to check with you first of all. But he has been very supportive of part of the project that involves exploitation. And it also involves specifically the machine learning part, maybe that I put in my individual proposal. So I think it's going to work better for me to move to Northwestern and exploit that thing. I still want to keep connections, still very respect what you're doing. But I think if I'm going to make serious progress, I'm going to need to do that. But I want your advice and I want your help.
Oh, wow, that's really beautiful. Wow.
Okay? Well, I think you could do it as well. But I mean, just writing a story, right? You do. You're a wonderful storyteller. But I think that would be, and I would write it out as basically a script. Basically respect, thank you, respect. Try to keep in touch. Ideas have changed. Possibility moving to exploitation. Think it'd be good for me to move to Northwestern. If you agree, I'll talk to Ted Sargent and do it that way. But in keeping contact with you, and of course, we want you to participate to the extent you want to in the research. Just like the Gettysburg Address. Just, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I would definitely do that. Right.
You try other things and say, "Look, you asshole! I've been trying to get in touch with you ages. The first time I'll be able to get with you. Here you are, you dog shit piece of brain." And then you can try that. That's the other approach, and then you could hit him. But it probably wouldn't work very well.
No, that I would definitely don't do that. And I just want to live in good terms.
Yeah, that's right. And say that. I really appreciate it. You've been a wonderful. I really admire what you do. I want to be your colleague. But I think in this circumstance, I think I'm going to make more progress if I can go and work with Ted in this thing. But I want us to be colleagues. Going forward. I greatly respect what you do. And yeah, and if you don't like me, you're dangerous. So I want to stay your friend.
Wow, thanks so much for the recommendation. I would definitely have a script. So what worries me could be, what if it interrupts, of let me finish my script, just having others topics that I haven't thought about.
Yeah, well, that's why you need the script to come back to it. That's why you need the script, in front of you, to get to the point, and just say, well, yeah, things bubble and things like that. Oh, yeah, that's really interesting. Now let me get back to my story. You will need to. That's great. Well, that's really good. Yeah, and the point I'm trying to make here is you're an asshole. You don't listen to me. You don't give me any help, and I'm leaving you.
Keith, I just want to quick check with you whether you have observed in other other colleagues through your career. So whenever we meet in person, I definitely met Anna in person in the past. He was really nice when you speak to him, and afterward, when you write emails or anything, so totally ignorance, not responding, and he will so sometimes he's man, he will just write an email criticizing you, and when you write back to ask for advice, just disappeared again. But when you meet him next time in person, he's nice again. So I just feel, oh, is this the same person I'm interacting with, or do you see this in your career?
That's why personal interactions are so important, because people do respond very differently to things. I'm trying to think back of where I've seen that. I mean, some parents are like that.
Oh, parents.
Some parents are like that when their children are with them and close to them, they can be affectionate, warm. But when they go and move away, they sort of forget them. They don't care in the same way about their needs and things. So some people are very much like that, because my I'm not like that. Some my children, they're 40 and 37, but they say, I'm continuing to think and care about them. But they've told me that many parents are like that, which is, yeah, they're great when they're together and things like that, but basically when they're not there, they forget
Oh.
or substantially forget.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think that's why I would say, for example, when there were problems with people having with their projects, for example, I deal in the past at Oxford. The first thing I would check is, are you having a regular social event with your advisor or PI?
Mm-hmm.
Are you actually so what I did in my own research group, I made one meeting compulsory a week, which
Mm-hmm.
was actually the pub. I said everyone should be in the pub at 6 o'clock on a Friday.
Wow, that's nice.
Not because not that they're going to drink a lot, things like that, but we would just be together,
Mm-hmm.
and they would then also know that I'd be there. I try to go to in English labs there tends to be coffee and tea as well. So
Mm-hmm.
there are times to, but actually the times I saw things not work was because somebody would say, well, I'd say, well, are you seeing your PI regularly socially? I say, why do I want to do that? And I said, because some people actually need it. It
Mm-hmm.
triggers the right emotional response in them.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you're there personally, right, they feel guilty they haven't looked after you.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a different emotional response to somebody that you're there. They look at you, it's like a child, say, oh my God, you okay? Things like that. When you get a postcard or a letter or an email, you go, oh, that's very nice. But it has, especially, I would always remember the starting point of rebuilding a relationship. The only time I saw relationships fail was actually where there wasn't a regular ability to discuss things and to therefore establish trust even outside the formal business.
Mm-hmm.
So if all you did, for example, was talk to somebody about their formal business, they could infer that meant you didn't care about them.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
did you
see.
have the chance to say, hey boss, what did you do this weekend? Did you total the car again? Did what's it like? I mean, a lot of those things that are around the issues show that you're thinking about that person. And that is very difficult to do in email or in things. You can't do it.
Mm.
You can't communicate it. So actually going to see him is a really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you do is say, oh, it's really great to see you.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for the meeting. It's really good. Yeah. I'm sorry we haven't had a chance to talk before. You sing the song then, maybe I didn't, tell, you just sing, you were always my mind, right? That's the song, you know it, right?
Mm.
The Willie Nelson version of it?
Yeah, I
The song. I mean, that's what it is. Actually, because some people it varies. Some people don't need it. Some people are attuned to you all the time, and therefore they don't need that top up of social aid and things. Some people are very dependent on it, and they walk. It'd be interesting how he walks about his group.
mm.
What's his actual interaction? So my thing would be to walk around the group, talk to people as often as I could. And if I couldn't do that, I'd feel guilty I wasn't doing it, right?
I see.
But also I'd be worried that someone couldn't get in touch with me, things of that sort. So what's he running on? Is it, I don't know, but he may not be, he may just be tripping out in terms of things. But I would first of all try to say, it's really good. Sorry if we couldn't keep in touch. This is where I'd really like to check up on where I'm going, my ideas, and get your advice.
Mm-hmm. I see.
This is what I'm thinking, This is what I'm thinking,
I see. I see. And also, as Matt suggested, it would be better if I can also figure out during the last 3 months for the first year placement, what other problems that I can potentially solve to better do the
Right.
science. So this is
That's right.
something I will just pick that up to see
Yeah,
what
that's
from
right.
ML. And also, I think one of the strategies that could be useful is that I put ML in my original proposal, and
Yeah.
ML is the thing that Alan doesn't know too much about, but Ted is publishing on that. So I can try to figure out maybe not using ML for predicting material property, but probably using ML to design better electrodes. And this is something that's been shown in literature. And apparently, if we decide to do that moving forward, uh, MIT group is not the best one in this. And this way, I also make him also feel nice because I'm not leaving because he's not doing his job, but because his expertise he's not able to support the project moving forward.
Yeah, and I'd even try to flip it slightly.
Oh.
Rather than say it's your deficit in your group,
Mm-hmm.
you could say it's my deficit in needing the training and help.
Oh wow, that's much better. That's much better. That's much
Yeah.
better.
You know?
Yeah. Always. Oh yeah. So always say I. Don't say
Like,
yo.
have you ever dumped a girl?
Um, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, see, so what's the question is how do you dump one?
Okay, yeah. I'm not good
And
enough.
you
I'm not good
say
enough.
it's me, not you.
Oh
It's my
yeah.
problem, not
Yeah,
you. That's how you dump
you
someone.
deserve a better person.
That's, that's what you
Wow.
just say.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's- okay, I see. Yeah. I think
Just
that's
say, actually, in this situation, I think I need the training that Alan's postdoc or friend can give me in the circumstances. That'll look better.
I see.
And I can go and I'll come back and tell you about how it worked. I can come back and tell you how it worked if you like. I can be with you if you want. It's just I'm not rejecting you. I'm just saying I probably need to learn this stuff and work on it. Best if I do it at Northwestern. Keep in touch if you like. And then I'd love to keep in touch because you're big and dangerous, and I don't want you to be an enemy. That's the.
I definitely wouldn't say that verbally, but I'm just show respect, just show respect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's a really really tough. But I think the training by Schmidt, managing challenging conversations, how to manage up. This is something that really.
Yeah, and do go into it on the basis he's going to advise you. Do be open to what he's going to say.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Just so and therefore he will sense that. As if he senses, no, you're just here to convince him entirely, and you're not going to listen, then it'll feel that way. But if you say, I've got this idea, boss. I'm here to tell you what I think is the right thing to do, but I really need your advice and help on it.
Yeah.
I really need,
Yeah. That's what I also wrote in email. I'm just saying I'm considering the option of moving to Northwestern as we previously agreed, but I wanted to get your guidance over this. That's what
right.
I wrote.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. So I will just speak to him. I will have we craft a script, speak to him on 28 and keep you and Matt posted about outcomes, and then we can move from there. Say to see what makes sense for the next steps, right?
Sounds good. And you'll be back in touch then.
Yeah, I will be back in touch then. So actually I spoke to Ming Yi about my situation. Ming Yi suggested, maybe you should talk to Ted as well at this point. But I feel like since Alan cares, who is the first person I speak to, I will still speak to him first and then speak to Ted afterward. And it's just a matter of showing respect, right? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I will just do that, and there's gonna be a big conversation next week.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, thanks so much, Keith, for all the guidance. I know you're always there to offer your brand. I really appreciate everything. And
well, I just well, let's hope, and good luck with that then. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much. And by the way, I also so the Stanford position, I was rejected. I was rejected. But I kind of can feel why they rejected me because I don't show that in my publications. But
it was natural stuff, wasn't it? Still, they were going more for the natural world shit.
No, the other position.
Oh, another one.
They have an environmental justice position. And I kind of
that's another thing.
Yeah, and I kind of wrote a combination of environmental justice using carbon dioxide removal.
Tricky though, because they'll have lots of people who were at Harvard Law School.
Absolutely. And I see the applicants they interviewed the people in social science field, so they wouldn't take a
Yeah, yeah,
risk, which is totally fine.
yeah.
And also, by the way, just end of June, end of May, not end of June, end of May, I submitted another application for a position in mechanical engineering in ETH Zurich. That position is on solar reactor engineering. I see it could be relevant, so just submit an application and waiting to hear back. I will keep you posted. So that's the assistant professor position as well.
Yes.
And also in a proposal, research segment, I talk about the third research objective, how to interface with society. Let's see whether they're gonna buy that or not. And so this is the best I can do. I just send in the material and hear back.
Well done.
All right, yeah. So this is pretty much it, and yeah, and I hope Mingyi's piece with me will come out soon, um, and also there's another one Mingyi and I are working on, which is equitable climate education. That one is in revision by Nature Climate Change. So all of that are relevant to my third research goal, but now I also feel like I probably
Yeah.
can put more
Take it-
efforts into the first two and achieve more.
Right. That sounds good. Okay, lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Keith.
Back in
Like
touch
always.
when you have the meeting, yeah?
Yeah,
That's
I'm
good.
meeting you tomorrow as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
there's a meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
good.
meeting tomorrow, and also next week I will share the outcomes about conversation.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, look after yourself then.
Yeah, take care,
Bye
Keith.
now.
Yeah, bye
Bye
now.
now.
Have a good night.
Thank you.